Welcome, everyone, to day 11 of the 15-day meditation challenge. And this challenge, as you know, is a combination of wisdom from Advaita Vedanta, acting as objects of meditation so that we may calm our mind and contemplate on ideas that are thousands of years old, but may be new to you, which challenge the way that you see yourself and the world. And that's always a good thing. So to date, we've talked about a great deal about different things such as the self. We've talked about this discrimination between the seer and the seen. We've said that you are the eternal object, eternal subject, and everything else is an object of your perception, of your understanding. And as such, the subject can never be the object. You're always the seer, never the seen. You're always the knower, never the known. You're always the experiencer, never the experience. And we've also said yesterday about cause and effect, about an action and the consequences of that action, and how the ultimate responsibility for that is this mind and body, what we call the jiva, that performs those actions, be they physical actions with the body or mental actions with the mind, such as thought. And we've been told that we should not rely on the outside world for our happiness, because the outside world is temporary, is limited, it induces pain, and ultimately it enslaves. So we're not free, we're not unlimited, and we're not free from pain. And because of those three things, life normally goes up and down, what we call a life of samsara. And to be free of that, we need to be free of external objects. Now, if you have a philosophy such as Advaita Vedanta, then it must, first of all, tell you things about the whole world. The whole world largely can be split into two. There's me, and there's everything but me. To date, we've discussed a lot about the me part of it. And Advaita Vedanta says that the real you is unlimited, is boundaryless, is immortal. Certainly not the way I feel. I feel that, yes, I have a definite boundary. This is me. And I feel limited. I may know many things, but I don't know Chinese or Russian. There's many bits and things that I don't know, many things that I don't even know that I don't know. And I'm certainly not immortal. Now, if a great piece of text that's thousands of years old says all of these things about me and my notion is opposite, then it requires investigation, because this is respected wisdom brought forward through a lineage that's carried it for thousands of years. So it's worth investigating. I don't deem to do that within the course of these small classes. I just want to introduce them to you, because to understand them takes longer, takes a lot of questions and answers, and takes a lot of contemplation. Now, one of the reasons that Advaita Vedanta says don't depend on the outside world is because it says, although that outside world can be transactional and it can be very useful, and you've used it all of your lives, it's just not real. news to me. I thought the outside world is very real. Reality is defined in Vedanta as that which is independent of time. So that was something that exists in the past, the present, and the future. And the thing is that everything that we have as an object is limited, is subject to birth and death. While it's here, we can use it, but only in a transactional manner. And Vedanta says, you really don't understand what objects are. And if there's one thing I understand, is that I'm sitting at a very solid table. Speaking to you today is supporting my computer through which I can transmit. And Vedanta takes that simple concept and turns it on its head and says, you're sitting at a table, correct? Say, yes. What's that table made out of? And I say, wood. And he says, so the cause of that table is wood, and the effect is that of a table. And you have to say that, because a table just can't come into being without the wood. And then he says, okay, what is the weight of the table? And I say, I don't know. Let's say 10 kilos. He says, what's the weight of the wood? You say, no, it's a trick question. Just don't know where the trick is. You say, well, the wood weighs 10 kilos. He says, is the table substantial? I say, definitely. My computer's standing on it. It's a substantial table with no weight of its own. You start to begin to question it. Is it independent? Is it a substantial, independent entity? You say, yeah, I think so. It cost some money and I had to get it through the door. It was quite heavy. He says, okay, if it's so independent, I'll keep the wood, you keep the table. And at that point, you realize that table is a concept. It's a concept in our mind in order to transact with the world. It's actually wood in the form of a table. If you don't believe me, we can chop up this table and make it into chairs. Then where did the table go? In fact, where did the chairs come from? So effectively, any effect is dependent upon its cause. So a wooden table is dependent on the wood. Now, this is an example. Normally in Vedanta, they use a pot, a clay pot. But stick to the wooden table. And of course, you can take it further down. You can say, well, the wood is not really wood. It's a series of cellulose fibers. Wood is the effect and the fibers are the cause. And you say, well, the fibers are the effect and molecules are the cause. And you say molecules are the effect and atoms are the cause. And you go down and down and down into subatomic particles, into energy, and then it just disappears. And Vedanta says that there is one thing that is right at the end of that chain, which is the underlying basis of everything. And that is called Brahman. It is the causeless cause, is Brahman. And everything else is Brahman manifest as those things. Now, if I can have a very simple idea that I've always had in my life, that I was sitting at a wooden table rather than Brahman as the table, then imagine what else I've got to learn. I've got to unwind my brain and relearn things, to see things as they are. This is not about faith and preaching. This is about knowledge and teaching. That's why it takes time. That's why it takes a teacher, a live teacher, ideally, so that you can ask questions that you've always had in your mind and get answers, until sooner or later you come to understand what has been said and then contemplate upon that deeply. So the world as we know it are names and forms. It has one single underlying reality from which everything is derived. Interesting concept. And we can think about it now as we go into meditation. So close your eyes. And really ground yourself with this technique that we've had before, that the base of your spine turns into a root that goes through the floor, not only keeping you grounded, but being able to draw energy up from the earth. You're relaxed. By this time, you're finding it easier to relax the body. You're developing your own techniques for being able to systematically relax every muscle of your body, yet still be able to sit up straight and be comfortable during your meditation. You have seen thoughts come and go. You've seen for yourself what works in letting thoughts go by, just temporarily. And as you switch your focus to something else, those thoughts vanish like clouds in the sky. Even now, you may have developed a technique where as you wash your hands for the statutory 20 seconds plus with great concentration, it becomes a tiny meditation where you are entirely in control of your mind, and thoughts other than the washing of hands are nowhere to be found. That's the way you're gaining mastery. You're gaining control rather than be controlled. Your ego will always want to win. And it normally says that if you hear anything that you haven't already heard before, to start with the belief that is wrong. You're training your mind to do a little reset, to say, I'm open to new things, to new ideas. I'm a seeker, and as such, I will put my ego to one side and learn, and then evaluate and come to my own conclusions. I have a great intellect that can analyze things anew. Ego, I don't need you to tell me what I should or should not know. Ego, you are dependent on my light. I'm not dependent on you. Now consider the simple example of the table given earlier and contemplate the sequence. The table is in effect. All effects have a cause because you can only have cause and effect. You cannot have an effect without a cause. Cause is the reality, is the independent thing. The effect is the dependent thing. When I come to rely on dependent things, I become dependent. I need to rely on the independent things. As I move from one external object to another, because of desire driven by likes and dislikes, I go from dependency to dependency. The more extravagant the object, the more dependent I become. That's not what I want. I want to be independent. I will enjoy the things that I have, but I refuse to be dependent upon them. I will enjoy the things around me for as long as they're there and not lament their loss. My true self is independence alone. I need not lament on the past. The objects, people, situations of the past have come and gone. I'm still here. I wish to use and enjoy the present because that is all I've ever known. I will make plans in the present and then put them to a side and carry on enjoying the things that need to be done. I need not tell others what I've learned and how it has helped. I can be the example. I can smile through adversity, knowing that that too is temporary. This confidence and fun will be infectious to everyone who comes within range. And they too will want to know, how come you're so happy? And you can say, I have everything that I need. You can say, I have understood the meaning of the word enough. Let's bring our hands together. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much indeed. I understand that all the subjects that we've raised are only in very tiny pieces, and it leaves many questions to be answered. In fact, I've been thinking about maybe running a small course starting later in April, an introduction, if you like, to Advaita Vedanta that'll be interactive so that people can react and ask questions on it. So thinking about that, if there's people interested, then wait for some material to come your way. It'll be it'll be a small number of people so that we can get an interactive nature out of it. But thank you very much indeed for joining me this evening. We only have 4 evenings together left. So I hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks very much. Good night.